And we'll do it live. We'll do it live. Good morning. This is Friday morning Yam posting. I'm gonna brief you on the recent terror and arson attacks going on all across America while I'm eating a yam for breakfast. And so the reason I wanted to tell you about this is because I was just thinking how people like to call people like me names. You can call me all kinds of names. You can make up all kinds of words to about me, or not just me, but people like me, people like Jake Shields, people like Lucas Gage, people like Nick Fuentes, people like all kinds of people. And you can call people racist. You can call people anti-Semite. You can call people all these names. You can call people Nazis. But meanwhile, your house is burning down. Meanwhile, you've got truck bombs going off in front of Trump Tower. Meanwhile, and your house is burning down if you live in the Palisades, right? Because there's arsonists running around setting fires everywhere. And then that way, Gavin Newsom can go out there and have his picture taken in a giant burned out neighborhood, and then he smiles for the camera like he's out there with these. He's out there taking pictures with this communist. I don't want to say the word, a communist who runs LA, and they're out there taking pictures while everybody's houses are burning down. And so, one of the things about being in front of the camera like this and putting your name out there and letting people hear what you have to say when you're talking about controversial things is you think, wow, these people are going to think I'm this, or they're going to think I'm that, or they're going to think I'm crazy for talking about these conspiracies. Meanwhile, your house is burning down. So you could say, Brian, see, for instance, there's two types of people I'm thinking of. One is rich people. Rich people would think, oh, listen to this garbage. This guy's some whack job, on the internet, right? Don't listen to that idiot. But then your whole neighborhood burns down. And I was trying to warn you, like, these are the people that run the government. And then your whole neighborhood burns down, right? And what's going to happen is I'm about to get in my truck and go to work. And you know what I'm going to hear on the radio? I'm going to hear how Gavin Newsom's just incompetent. He just doesn't, and Karen Bass is just incompetent. And they just don't know what they're doing because they're so incompetent. That's the CIA, right? All the CIA channels that are all over the AM right-wing Republican radio that I listen to when I drive around at work, they're all going to tell me that it's because incompetence. And we just need to get better people in there. We need to get our people in there. Your people are already in there. That's the problem. And so, who just recently did this was I don't watch Joe Rogan. I think he promotes a lot of dangerous drugs that cause mental illness and make the society worse. And part of the reason why the society is so bad is because of people like Joe Rogan promoting his dangerous drugs. But he had this guy on his show. He's one of these guys. He's got like a podcast, right? He's a bald guy with a podcast. I don't remember his name. But he's ex-CIA. I think he was in the military and all this kind of stuff. And he was doing the exact same thing. He was going on about all this terrorism and say, yeah, it's just because there's so much incompetence. We just got to change the culture. We just got to change the culture. We got to get better people in there. See, it's never because you're the one doing it. See, they won't admit that they're doing it. That's the whole scam. That's the whole scam that they run against these right-wing patriot groups is they tell them that the people in there are just incompetent. They don't know what they're doing. 9/11. Oh, they're just incompetent. Truck bombs going off. Oh, it's just incompetence. Whole neighborhoods burning down. Oh, it's just incompetence. No, it's not. It's called arson. It's called terrorism. It's all organized. It's called. Now, the other thing I realized is people don't, the average person hasn't learned their lesson. Like when all these terror attacks and shootings and mass murder started happening in America, at first I found it really shocking. And I used to think, wow, this is terrible. I feel so bad for these people. But see, that was like, 2001, 2000, like it was the early 2000s when all the terrorism in America started, right? And before that, we had some massacres here and there, but they weren't real regular, right? Now it's regular massacres in Europe, regular massacres in America. And so at first, back in the early 2000s, I felt bad. I'm like, wow, this is terrible. These people are getting attacked. They should do something. right? And then what happened was they didn't do anything. They didn't, and then they just keep getting attacked, and they don't do anything. They just keep getting attacked. Now, what am I suggesting you do? I'll give you an example. On 9/11, see, this is really how the alt right came into being. You had the conservatives, right? And then on 9/11, this is what I witnessed. On 9/11, when the towers were blown up by the CIA, Pentagon, and Mossad, when they blew up the World Trade Center and they shot a missile at the Pentagon, and then I didn't know that at first, but that's what happened. When they did that, the first thing I thought is, well, this is terrible that it's happened, but at least now people will wake up and they will shut down the border and they will get these foreign people that they keep bringing in. Even back then, they had these foreign people that started showing up on our shores, right? We'll separate them out, and we'll go back to living how we did for thousands of years as white European people. We'll just go back to that, and we won't have all these problems, right? Because we'll live in a closed white European society, and we'll be friendly to the other races. We'll have good relations with the other people, and we'll do business with them. We'll have we can have kind of cooperative relations with these other races, but ultimately we're going to have to screen people out, and to protect ourselves, and also to so that we're not getting massacred, right? They didn't do that. No, George Bush didn't do that. In fact, the thing that woke me up, and the reason why I was like one of the original people of what they call the alt right, which is Republicans that are moving towards national populism, whatever you want to call it, is because as all this terror is going on, George W. Bush was the president. He arrested border agents for shooting a drug trafficker that was trafficking drugs across the border. The drug trafficker got shot in the ass as he was fleeing from the border agents. They shot him in the ass, and George Bush had him arrested for shooting the drug trafficker that was coming into the border. That was George Bush. That was the guy, the war on terror guy. That's why when that happened, I realized at that point that this whole thing was bullshit. That's when I realized the whole thing was bullshit, man. When George Bush had those border agents arrested for shooting a guy trafficking drugs with the drugs, trafficking them in, and he just shot him in the ass. He got a bullet in the butt, right? And George Bush had those guys arrested and charged and sent to jail. So when that happened, I realized, okay, this is all bullshit. And it's not incompetence, right? So you're going to tell me, Brian, you're a conspiracy theorist. You have all these theories about conspiracies of organized crime. There's no organized crime. J. Edgar Hoover told us. He said there is no mafia. J. Edgar Hoover. He said there is no mafia. So don't worry about it. That's a quote from J. Edgar Hoover. There is no mafia. J. Edgar Hoover said that. So the point is, people like this guy, I can't remember his name. He was a podcaster. Joe Rogan had him on to talk about the incompetence and that we got to get better people in there. Right? He's a CIA military guy. This is who runs. Okay, and it's called whiteface. I like to call it whiteface because it's a white guy, and you assume because he's white and he's in the military that he's on your side, and he would lie to you. No, dude, listen, they're all lying to you. Buck Sexton and the Trey Travis show or whatever it is. Can't remember the names. They're lying. Glenn Beck is lying. Even Alex Jones is lying and covering up all the real stuff that's going on. Look, Elon Musk. Here's a perfect example. Elon Musk is purging Twitter like way beyond anything. It's no different for me. I mean, I think he was just letting people on Twitter until the election, and then they turned it right back how they wanted it. But he's purging Twitter. He's not going to. Elon Musk isn't trying to save the world. Elon Musk is trying to build flying robots that are going to fly around and kill you. Okay? They're going to fly around and kill you. flying robots. That's what he wants to build. He wants to build flying robots that are going to kill you. And he's not going to tell you the truth. He's working with the Ben Shapiro's and all these people that are Ben Shapiro. Look, Ben Shapiro's lying to you. Dennis Prager's lying to you. Mark Levin is lying to you about terrorism since 9/11 and probably before. They've been lying to you the whole time about the terrorism, right? There's I'm going to go listen to AM radio as I drive to work. I'm not going to hear a word about what's really going on as far as the arson and the terrorism. And even if they hint at it, they're not really going to tell you. What I've noticed is sometimes what they'll do is they'll have a talking point and then they'll start to lose and everyone will realize that they're full of baloney. So they'll move more to what the far right is saying. And then they'll take on those talking points and use that to move it back to the center and make it, well, but let's not be whatever. Let's not be racist. Let's not be conspiracy theorists. Let's move it back to the center and let's do business with the left. Which brings me to Lindsey Graham. Okay. One perfect example of how our government got into the situation is, you know how Lindsey Graham, he's the center. He's always the one who's like getting these far left radical communist LGBT BLM judges into the Supreme Court or into positions in the federal courts, right? It's always Lindsey Graham or people like Lindsey Graham. And Lindsey Graham's one of the most violent genocidal maniacs who's for every single war and killing as many people in Europe or wherever, the Middle East, right? He's always for mass death. And you're like, why would Lindsey Graham be that way? See, here's the little deal they have in Washington, D.C. And they use the white face, right? Lindsey Graham's a white guy. You've got all these white Republican guys that you think they must be on your side. They're not. Right? They are going to have a deal with Chuck Schumer and Nancy Pelosi and all those people, the LGBT BLM Zionist mafia. They're going to have a deal with them to allow you to make money on the next war with your military industrial complex, so long as you put all the LGBT BLM people into power. All the people that hate our rights, hate the Constitution, hate free speech, hate that you can go into a gun store and purchase guns and ammo legally. Like the people that hate that, they're working with Lindsey Graham to give him his war. So Lindsey Graham gets his war and they get control of the government. And then Lindsey Graham gets his next war and they get control of the government. So your leverage against these people is not to support their wars, And this is where racism actually helps mankind, because they're using this totalitarian interracial globalism, right, to exterminate the world's populations. And so I'm not a bigot towards other people, right? I don't hate other races. But I would say if you say, hey, look, we're the white race and we're not going to go along with your war, well, that you just took out the bulk of the people that they're depending on for the next war. So if you said, well, we're not joining the military and we're not supporting your war, and we're disavowing all your wars, and we're going to keep our sons out of your military. See, that's your leverage. That's what I'm telling you. That's your leverage, because Lindsey Graham thinks he doesn't need to worry about that. He's just going to start a war and he's going to hand everything over to some crazed radical Black Power LGBT baby snatcher, and he's going to put them in charge of all the federal courts, so that when you go to court, you lose every time. Like what they tried to do with Trump is an example. They want to do that to everybody. They want to run the courts, and they want to run it for their cult, right? And so their leverage is, well, Lindsey Graham's not worried about the white race abandoning the military, so he has nothing to lose. He can give everything away. He can give it all away, and he doesn't have to worry about it. He can just give everything away, and you'll keep signing up for the military, and you'll still go out and fight and kill for the LGBT BLM Black Power weirdo feminism baby snatcher freak show. You'll keep doing that Why? Because they told you because they have buzzwords like freedom and democracy. Freedom. Donald Trump just used this the other day. He's all something about the free world. The free world, America, the free world, the West, the free world. Okay. Free to what? Free to what? What does all the people that Lindsey Graham has put in charge of the courts? What are you free to do exactly? What are you free to do? I don't want to get too graphic here, but the only thing you are free to do in America is shove things up the wrong place. That is your freedom. Everything else is a big fuck you in America. In America, you don't have a right to speak. See, let me give you an example. Twitter is basically owned by the NSA. It's not owned by Elon Musk. Elon Musk doesn't run shit. Elon Musk is some weird front man who works for the NSA. So you have the NSA and they run Twitter and they're working with SpaceX and they're running Silicon Valley. So all these quote unquote private organizations, they're not private at all. They're all subsidized by the military. These are all military installations. And the US military is supposed to adhere to the US Constitution of the Bill of Rights. So all these channels that they've created are supposed to adhere to the Bill of Rights. But they go, but it's a private company, so they don't have to protect your speech. It's not a private company. It's a front group for the military. These are supposed to be our channels. Facebook, Twitter, all these everything. YouTube, all these channels, right? These are all run by Silicon Valley and San Francisco companies. These are all run by the CIA and the NSA. These are all military installations. They're not private companies. They're not. They're military companies run with subsidies set up entirely by the CIA and the NSA as a communication system. And so what they're doing is, because it's been taken over by the Ben Shapiro, Dennis Prager mass murder cult, plus the Indians now. They're using the Indians. It's like a merger. They're using the Indians. So they're basically shipping people from other countries to shut down your free speech. And this is all being organized by the NSA and the Pentagon. That's under Donald J. Trump in a few days. So we'll see what they do. But you notice how they're putting these Indians in positions. Head of the FBI is going to be an Indian, Kash Patel, and then they're going to have another Indian. Then they try to have Nikki Haley, and then they've got J.D. Vance and his wife and his children are part Indian. And what else is it? They're using Indians. They're getting the Indians into position, and they're all wearing like Kash Patel's got his 1776 thing on, and what's his name? Ramaswamy was promoting this is the new 1770. They're basically stealing all of Alex Jones's memes and using that to position themselves as the new patriots from India. Okay, this is all bullshit, dude. This is all bullshit. This is all run by the NSA. And it's the problem I have with it is it's being used to cut the communication lines of Americans. Elon Musk is using Twitter to cut the communication lines between Americans, right? So that's what you do in a war. When you're at war with someone, you cut off their communication lines so that they can't communicate and organize, so then you can attack them, right? So that you can invent flying robots to fly around and kill them. See? That's what's really happening. So it's not that these are all private companies. Elon Musk doesn't run shit. SpaceX is the military. Tesla is an arm of the NSA. They want to have self-driving cars and all this kind of robotics and AI robot. This is all run by the military. None of this is run by Elon Musk. Elon Musk is a fraud. And Alex Jones is being tricked, or he's just given up and he's going along with it because he needs money, because otherwise he's in deep shit with all the stuff they've legitimately tried to destroy him. See, that's how they get their leverage. They try to destroy you and then they come as your savior. That's what they're doing to Alex Jones. That's what they're doing to Donald Trump. Well, at first they tried to destroy him, but now they're going to save him. And they're going to let, we'll see. I hope Trump's strong enough and smart enough to do something about it. But we'll see what happens. Okay, so just remember out there, you could say, Brian, you're an idiot. Brian, you're a conspiracy theorist. Brian, you're a this. You're a Nazi. You're a racist. You're an anti Semite. Well, whatever I am, I'm not wrong about the fact that a bunch of people's houses just burned down because there's arsonists running around burning everything, burning people's houses down during these windstorms, and they've caught them on camera doing it. And so Gavin Newsom's going to take pictures out there and call himself a hero and say it's caused by climate change, while there's arsonists running around all over the place burning your house down. And it's the same thing with the truck attack and the terror attack, and the FBI is saying that that they all acted alone. Well, that's not true. They didn't act alone. The data, the information coming out on those attacks is pretty obvious that whatever the official story is doesn't even make sense. And I'm not going to go into all that stuff. You can research it yourself, but all these weird anomalies and stuff that just doesn't add up on these truck attack, and then the other one in New Orleans, the one at the hotel in Trump's attack, the other one in New Orleans. There's just a bunch of stuff that any reasonable person who's like investigating it would just start to ask questions. Like, I don't want to go into the whole thing. I'm just saying you can do that yourself. I don't have to do all your thinking for you. But what I am telling you is that all these so-called patriots in the Republican media are all lying to you every single day about terrorism, particularly. And so people, until they realize how this works, they're going to keep getting injured by these attacks. And so one of the easiest things to do would be to separate, basically, for white people, because we're being targeted, like we're being hit in Europe, we're being hit in America. The thing to do is to just dissolve this union with this cult and say, well, we're not doing this anymore, and we separate out. And then we want to have good relations with the other races, with the Black Africans and the people from the Middle East and the people from Asia and the people from the Orient. We want to have good relations with all of them. But we need to, as the white race and as people who are whatever, European Christian white people, European, we need to separate all. We need to dissolve this thing and say we're done with that. Abandon it. Just let it drop like a hot potato, and then just reform, and we have to. There's no reason we need to live with it. For thousands of years, the white race has lived happy, peaceful. There's been wars and all this kind of. Those are things. But overall, you see like our architecture, our culture, the art, the music, and all these things that were produced by Western civilization, which is the white race. It's not anything else. Come out of Athens. All that's we live very happy, decent lives, and for the most part, overall, and the majority of how we organize our society are very simple and easy, and it's fun, and it doesn't have to be these constant struggles and wars and terrorism. This is all being imposed by this totalitarian system, which depends almost entirely on race mixing, religion mixing, keeping everything mixed up. And so really the goal of diversity is a police state. The goal of diversity is a police state. That's the goal of it. That's the outcome. It's a totalitarian police state. So, all these people that go to Washington and then they go before the Senate, and the Senate goes, do you believe in diversity? And they say, I do. I believe in diversity. What they're saying is, I believe in the totalitarian cult that you've established as the cult religion for the United States and for Europe, that we're all being shoveled into, and then so that we can be attacked by Elon Musk's flying robots and have all of our communication lines cut. And they'll lie and say, it's a private company, when it's really run by the military and by the NSA. So that's how it really works. So anyway, that's the end of the video. Have a nice day and enjoy the rest of your Friday. Talk to you later.